the wrong open. Hey everybody, welcome to the Media Goon Show. As you can see, it's the first episode, so there's a whole bunch of kinks to work out. I'm lucky enough to have my usual crony with me, that one, the only Dave Maggio.
Hello.
Feel free to pick on him as much as you guys want. I don't know who's watching it yet because I really didn't do any promotion because I wanted this to be a pilot episode. And we actually have a really cool guest. Maggio, you paying attention?
Yeah, I was retweeting and saying, "Hey, look at the show; it's live." So,
it's cool. You finally learned promotion. I love it.
I did. I'm learning. I'm learning new things every day.
This is great.
I know.
So, we have one of my buddies, John Saponaro. He's a comedian. He hosts live events. He's a huge Mets fan. He has a Jet show on Instagram. I'm going to let him tell you about all that stuff because I didn't write anything down, and he's more knowledgeable about what he does anyway. So I'm going to bring John in. And here's John.
Hey, you nailed it, Keith. That's pretty spot on what I do. And don't assume that I know more about what I do than you do, because I'm not ever sure what I'm doing at any given moment.
So you're kind of like Dave.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
John's really awesome. He's a funny comedian, and we got to know each other through our buddy Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
And John actually co-hosted the Keith Hernandez luncheon with us, and he's also been a part of Team Media Goon playing softball for charity. We actually, before we get into like our Mets fandom and everything, one of the funniest things were I just happened to be working on Gotham one day, driving to Holding, and all of a sudden I just see John there. He was just there, it was on Staten Island. So seeing him on Staten Island at Gotham in Holding just totally blew my mind. And we had a great 2-3 hour conversation in between all the running around that I was doing.
Yeah.
So that's where me and John actually cemented being buddies.
It's true. Well, because it kind of worked out perfectly because it was such a small cast that day and I was only working as a stand-in. So I worked for maybe 14 minutes the entire day. After that, they were just like, okay, we're good. We got the whole shot set up. And I was like, cool, what do I do? They're like, just stand over there in case we need you again. And we probably won't. So it was great. It's the easiest money I've ever made in my life.
Yeah, it was fun. Just like I said, all those places you would not expect to see a buddy of yours was there. So,
yeah.
The other time, we randomly ran into each other was Milwaukee.
Yes. That's true. But at least then there was a reason because we were both in town for the Mets Brewers. We were both there for the 7-line game the following day. And we just happened to run into each other the night before at the stadium. So that one, it's crazy. Out of all the people that were there, we happened to walk by each other because we weren't sitting near each other. But that one is a little bit more explainable than the Gotham one. That's
but it's just two random meetings. How the hell does that happen?
I don't know. There are no coincidences in this world. I'll tell you that.
But it was good. Those two things led us to being friends. And John's one of the really good guys. I love him on Twitter where he banters with the beat reporters.
Sometimes that gets me in trouble. I'm not gonna.
Here's I see John's wearing a pre-knit 2007 gray underbrim cap. Nice. See,
Yes.
that's why I'm friends with John.
It's actually a snapback too. It's got a little bit of throwback vibe to it.
That's awesome. So awesome. So let's get the Mets stuff out of the way now.
Okay.
And then we can talk about other fun stuff too. But so when did you become a fan?
Man, I've kind of been a fan my whole life. Like, it's weird because my fandom for the Mets comes from my grandfather. And my grandfather, he was born in the 20s, so he was an old Brooklyn Dodgers fan. And his philosophy, like, growing up was that, you know, there were three teams in New York. You loved one and you hated the other two. So once the Dodgers left, he had 30 years of hating the Yankees. And so he couldn't root for the Yankees. There was no way. He tried to follow the Dodgers for like half a season, but in the 50s, you couldn't follow a team on the other coast. And so, you know, he just sort of was a baseball fan until the Mets came about in 62. And then he adopted the Mets. And then just through that, you know, everybody in my family is a Mets fan. So I've been a fan since I was a baby. I mean, there were pictures of me from like, you know, 1988 in like a full Mets uniform. And I was like, you know, 2 years old. So
yeah, there's pictures of me wearing Mets stuff, but there's also a picture or two of me wearing Yankee stuff that my uncle snuck me into.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was like one of those things where people could like, hey, I got some blackmail on you from when you were a kid. It's like I was like one. I had no choice.
Yeah. Yeah, listen. There's probably some pictures out there of me wearing Yankee stuff too, at a much older age. Because at one point it was just like it was the fashionable thing, like the Yankee hat was like such a thing, and like I was never a fan, but it was like But I've since moved on from that. I was young and stupid is what my excuse. You know, but I was probably like in high school, and it was like, oh yeah, it was like the cool hat to wear. You know, you could just wear, like, if you're into that kind of style, it was like it was the cooler hat of the two. But now I refuse. I won't wear any apparel for any other team in baseball or in football than the Mets or the Jets. And the NBA and NHL, I'm a little bit more lenient. If I just think something's cool, I'll wear it. I don't really, because I don't have as much of a rooting interest.
Well, that's like the other thing when you were traveling all around doing the live events, you were going to different arenas in different cities. So I could see you picking up different, you know, sports hats and shirts and stuff. Just be, hey, I was here. This is what I want to collect, and this is what I want to represent because, oh, this was such a great time. I can wear my Seattle Kraken hat.
Right.
You know.
No, that's exactly right. I did a bunch of that, and then sometimes, you know, not every place, but some of the venues are so friendly that they're like, hey, we got you this. Here's this hat. So you're not going to say no. You know, oh, thank you. That's, you know, that retails, like the Utah Jazz gave me this great hoodie, and it retails for like $150. They just gave it to me. I'm going to say no. So I'm going to wear it. Like, you know, it's cool. It's comfortable. So yeah, screw it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I remember when I was in high school, starter jackets were the thing because I'm 10 years older probably than both of you. So like the starter jackets were the thing. I was wearing a Mighty Ducks. I'm a huge Rangers fan,
right?
But I knew if I wore a Rangers, you know, jacket or I wore something else that I might get jumped for it. So I was like, you know what? Nobody wants a Ducks jacket, but I still want a starter jacket.
I think I had a Dallas Cowboys starter jacket, and I was not a Cowboys fan. I'm a Jets fan too, born and raised. And it's kind of like, why the hell did I have a Cowboys starter jacket? It's just because that was like the Troy Aikman and you know, that was their reign where they were the football team. So it was just like, if you didn't have a Cowboys starter jacket, nobody wanted to talk to you. Like, that was to be cool. I think they even had like a Marlins jacket, I think, when they first came out. It was like exciting, like, oh yeah, I got a Marlins jacket. And then, you know, whatever. It probably is because it was like on sale. Some store, why the hell would they sell a Marlins jacket in Jersey? But they did.
This has turned into a really revealing conversation about at what point in high school did we all say, like, I'm going to wear this because it's cool. And so now I feel, when I first revealed that about the Yankee stuff, I was like, oh, I hope that's not a problem. But now you guys are like, yeah, it's fine. I don't know.
You're young. What can you do? You know, you're just trying to fit in. So it's not a big deal. You know, I would try not to wear the Yankee stuff, you know, when I was younger. Right. But when I was doing TV commercials, the production company in 2000, we threw parties for the clients during the World Series. So instead of making Mets and the production studio named the hats, they just made Yankee hats because the executive producer was a Yankee fan.
Right.
So I had to wear a Yankees hat, you know, on the side. It sucked, but I did it. So with all your traveling and being able to check out different cities and states, how many different ballparks were you able to hit while you were working, or even when you weren't working, like in between the days or whatever?
It's tough for the ballparks because a bulk of the travel that I do is usually from January to like March or April. When my travel is like so heavy, so obviously I couldn't get to a lot of parks that way. But I have been to, I've probably been to like 10 or 12, just one way or another, just, taking trips or traveling for work, or, like the Milwaukee trip, like that was specific. It was just like, hey, where can we go and see some games this weekend? So I've done that a handful of times. And I've probably been to like probably 10 or 12 different ballparks.
Yeah, I've lost count being with the 7 line going away.
Yeah.
I've hit so many different spots. And the funny thing is, if like didn't become friends with Darren and do the 7 line stuff, I don't think I would have traveled too much to go to different ballparks. With all my crazy work schedule, I'm usually all beaten up, and I'm like, I'll just want to rest the whole weekend. But
yeah,
I'm actually very glad I've gotten to see the country in the different ballparks.
Absolutely. I
couldn't imagine being able to hit all these different spots and getting paid to travel to go to the spots. So. Is there like a favorite arena that you've hit, just from like,
probably the nicest arena that I've worked in is, the Golden One Center in Sacramento. It's where the Kings play. And they it's brand new. I think it's like 3 years old now. And they have their setup, their audio, video, everything is just tremendous. And they have this open concourse look. So when if you walk in through the main entrance, within a few feet, there are no seats there, and you can look straight down onto the arena floor. There are seats beneath it, but there's nothing that kind of impedes you as you walk straight up. And it's just got a really great look. And I think they have, I don't know if this is still true, but when they opened, they had the largest indoor like scoreboard. Like, so compared to like, the Cowboys have it, down in the stadium size, but they have like in an arena setting, they have the largest one that you can have. So it's just cool. Everything about it just really cool and new and exciting.
That's pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'll ever be out there, but now I'm going to have to look forward to it.
Yeah. If you find yourself out there, I mean, I don't know why you'd be at a Kings game, but
somebody gave me tickets.
Yeah, I guess so.
You never know.
Yeah.
So I know I'm bouncing around, but let's go back to the Mets, since it's Media Goon. I know it's synonymous with Mets, all the time. But if you weren't a Mets fan, and I know you moved out to the West Coast, if you weren't a Mets fan, what team do you think you would gravitate to?
Oh man. I guess it sounds cliche because I live in LA now, but probably the Dodgers, because of the connection to Brooklyn. Like that would probably be the thing. And I do live out here now, so I guess so. It's hard though. It's hard to imagine being a fan of any other team. The only team that I have ever thought of not rooting for is the Jets, because the Jets are just such a, I mean, as bad as the Mets were run for a long time under the Wilpons, like the Jets are just, oh God, everything they do is just so bad. So they're the team that has pushed me to the brink of like, and I don't think I could be a fan of another team. I think I would just watch football at that point and just be like, oh, football's more fun when you're not living and dying by, Josh McCown. So it's just more fun when you don't have to sit there and wonder like, how a team hires Adam Gase, like I just don't understand like how, like, what did that guy do in the interview to get the job?
He just got the eyes. It was always looking at things. I hated that man. I always give coaches the benefit of the doubt, and it seems like the Jets are the metropolitan area team. You think they should do things, do what it takes to win. You're in the limelight. Like, oh yeah, we're hiring. How many times do we have to hear goddamn offensive genius, defensive genius? All these geniuses can't do anything. Like, please hire somebody who's not a genius because it's not working. Like it hasn't worked and it's not going to work. I couldn't stand Adam Gase from the second they hired him.
Yep.
Looking at him made my like stomach crunch. I was like, oh my God, I can't stand this guy. And then they just kept. I feel like they left him in just to bomb the season on purpose. Like,
and it didn't even work.
they can't even lose. They can't win at losing. They still figure out a way to not succeed. It's like, but hopefully what they're doing now. I hate hearing the talk with trying to trade Darnold. I think they should build a team around him. They never give a chance to the quarterback. I always feel like that Sanchez kind of got a crap end of the deal. Like he never had a decent team built around past 2 years of being on that team. It was always in like the quarterback's coach change or the offensive line change or something. There's always something changed. Like, why can't you guys just build and win later as opposed to trying to put as many Band-Aids on a gigantic bloody gaping hole that you can to win now? It's never going to work. Like,
I tend to agree with you a little bit. I do think it's time to move on from Sam Darnold. I think the majority of it is on the organization. I don't think it's his fault, but I just think when you look at, what he hasn't done in 3 years, I don't like the fact that I don't like the fact that he can't stay on the field. And I know, again, maybe if they had a better offensive line, that wouldn't be the case, but he's been injury prone in some way, shape, or form every season. And you know what? Yeah, the coaching has been abysmal, and they've changed, and he's never had a set system that he could just live in. But he's regressed a bit. Like his reads aren't great. He doesn't throw the deep ball. Like for me, the problem was when Flacco came in and moved the offense better with, those same non-weapons that they had, and the offense actually looked competent. I was like, I think Sam's done. So, I don't think it was his fault by any stretch, but I think I'm just ready to move on. I think Zach Wilson is becoming my guy.
I definitely agree there.
Yeah, I think he's good. I think he's getting those weird comparisons now that are impossible to live up to because they're saying, it's kind of like when Mahomes was coming out. Nobody's saying he's Mahomes. They're just saying like skill set wise. Right. When Mahomes was coming out of Texas Tech, that's the kind of things that a guy like Wilson can bring. And I think in that Shanahan offense, I think he can flourish. But at the same time, I do trust for the first time ever, I think, maybe since like the first couple of years at Tenenbaum, I actually trust the GM, and whatever Douglas does, I'm going to be okay with. So if he decides he wants to keep Darnold and draft, Jamar Chase at 2 or trade down a couple spots and take the tight end Pitts, something like that, and they want to give him weapons, I'm good with that too. But I think it's time to move on.
Now, is this the type of stuff that we see on your Instagram show about the Jets?
Yes, it actually is. It's similar. It's similar to that. I have 2 great co-hosts. Max Antonucci, he's a Jersey comic who lives out here with me. We're roommates actually, and Kimberly Cantoni, who is a former flight crew cheerleader for the Jets. So, we just we break down the games during the season. That's kind of the thing. We'll have some guests on. But then in the off season, it's kind of talking this stuff. It's talking about the draft, talking about what's next. What would you give up, to get Deshaun Watson? And then even some pipe dream stuff. Like on this past episode that we did on Friday, we talked about, there's so much trade talk about Deshaun Watson, but if you're the Jets, we know it's not going to happen. What would you give up to move up from 2 to 1 to lock up, Trevor Lawrence? What would you give up there? And the Jags are never going to trade that pick, but just stuff like that. That's fun conversation and food for thought.
Yeah, I don't think the only thing you can actually give the Jacksonville Jags is maybe a pro wrestler so they could put them in AEW.
I'll do that. Let's give him the Brooklyn Brawler. Come on.
How about some Barry Horowitz?
Yeah. Oh man, that I know we're not talking Jets, but that rhetoric of like when people were like, does Trevor Lawrence want to play for the Jets when the Jets were in that top spot? He's not. Well, first of all, especially with COVID and everything, there was no way that kid was going to go back to school. We all knew he wasn't going to use that leverage. But the alternative, it's not like he was going to go to the Jets or the Patriots. He was going to Jacksonville. Like, Jacksonville was the other option. Like, they're not a great franchise historically. They don't have a ton to offer recently. They've been one of the bad franchises ever since they bombed in that AFC Championship game. And they're so undersold locally that they have to go play games in London every year, and that their games get blacked out in Jacksonville. It's like, where would you rather be, in New York or there? Like, come on.
Fine. Jacksonville might have like some better weather at times, but you got nothing. There's like really nothing around Jacksonville at all.
No.
At least New York, you could do stuff.
Yeah, I've been to Jacksonville. It's nothing to write home about. It's not. It's northern Florida. If you're in like a place like Miami, at least you have the nightlife and you have the culture. Like, Jacksonville's just like,
yeah, it's like being in Tom's River, New Jersey.
I moved out of there.
I was gonna say, my boy Todd is from Tom's
River. Is it really?
Never knew it.
That's right. You guys both have the you guys both have that connection with Frazier.
Mm-hmm.
Dave actually did some cleats for Frazier last year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm working on Pittsburgh ones now for him. So,
that's really cool.
We'll see. Next couple of probably like those in a week or so. Hopefully, finish them up for him. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's exciting.
Yeah, that's fantastic. He's like the nicest guy I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, no, he really is. He is. He's really cool.
And
oh, go ahead. You go.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought, man.
No, just say like how he's like just genuinely like cool dude. Text him or message him, being like, "Hey, I had this idea for shoes." He'd be like, "Great big dog, do it." Going like, "All right, man, that sounds good."
He does, yeah. He calls everybody big dog.
Yeah. Boss,
so
like, I have this idea. Boss. I'm gonna do these shoes black. Okay, boss. Like, all right.
Yeah. When like friends of mine asked me, like, because obviously like because he's got the connection now. He's been on the Mets. He's been on the Yankees. So like everybody locally, like everybody kind of loves him. And like when people knew that like I met him and became friendly with him, and like what is he like? And I'm like, he's like the most New York, New Jersey guy ever in the best way possible. Like he's just such a down to earth, cool dude and like that's just how he interacts. He's fantastic. He's such a nice guy.
And he does great traffic reports.
Yeah, he does. He really does. There's been times where I'm like driving home from work. I'm about to get on the parkway and I'd be like, Todd's traffic report. I'm like, well, looks like I'm getting off this exit. No, see you later. Thanks, Todd.
So maybe he should create his own app, the Phrase, instead of Waze.
Yeah. He should. We got to text him that.
I'll only take a 1% finder's fee on that one.
That's man. That seems fine. That seems fine. He's probably a little busy right now with spring training, but I think in the off season that's something he can look into.
Yeah.
So the other thing, John's also a big MCU fan. Mm-hmm. And we have great times talking about it. And what do you think about WandaVision?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I loved it from the minute it started. I know a lot of people said it moved a little slow and it wasn't what they expected, which is, I guess, fair. But what's crazy to me is how, as a culture, we always want like instant gratification. Like we forgot how to do the simplest, dumbest things. Like, okay, you can't wait till next week to find out what happens. It wasn't that long ago that like that was your only option. Like there were shows in this decade that lived that way. Like, The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, two of the most popular shows of the last 20 years. You had to wait. It was episodic. It was, it was on cable and you had to wait. So like, I know the streaming services changed things up a bit because you get everything all at once, but people are just like, so if it's not what they want it to be, their opinions are so quick. And I've seen a lot of people kind of flip around now and they're like, oh, I was wrong. And it's like, well, I mean, could you let it go past the first like 60 minutes of the show? You know, like, because that's the other thing too. The episodes are short. You know, they're 35 to 45 minutes. So, and those first two were very much old school sitcom style, where there was almost, you know, they were like 30 minutes and out. And it's like, you can't invest an hour before you wonder if you like something or not. Like, come on.
I just think that everything they did with it was brilliant. You know, Dick Van Dyke, That Girl, Malcolm in the Middle, you know, Bewitched, and all those different shows. I don't know. Maybe it's because some of the younger folks, you know, didn't get to see that stuff in syndication, you know, but still, like, complaining. It's like, you can't let, or here's the biggest complaint a lot of times. Oh, there's not enough world building, you know. I wish there was more stuff. Now you got MCU doing stuff like that, where the world building and making it more complex. People are like, it's not fast enough. It's boring. I'm fighting with my cousin about it right now. He said last night's episode was horrible and boring. I'm like, were we watching the same thing?
Yeah, I don't understand. And also, it's not as though Kevin Feige didn't come out and sort of telegraph this. He said Phase 4 and probably 5 are going to go in a different direction. It's not going to focus on space. It's going to be more supernatural. It's going to be more magic. It's going to be, you know, we're taking it in an entirely different direction. Everything about the MCU is going to be different. And when you build up the equity of the 24 films prior to that, I get why some people are going to be maybe a little disappointed or not know what to expect. But at the same time, they can't just keep making the same kinds of movies. It's not going to be successful. Eventually, people are going to go, oh, they're doing the same thing. You know, what's the difference between Phase 4 and Phase, 2.5 when they're in the middle of that? You know, so now at least it's something else, and it feels different. It feels the same but different, and I think that's so difficult to execute, and they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, like, my cousin emailed me last night, and he's like, he actually was tweeting about it today. He was firing at me. He's like, oh, you're probably saying that, Kevin Feige did this because you have to read this issue from 1963 about the Vision and Scarlet Witch. I'm like, no, you just got to watch it and let it breathe and let it, show up. I'm like, even though I have the knowledge of what the Vision and Scarlet Witch miniseries was in the 80s, or I know a House of M, or I know what's going on in the comics today with Vision having his own family later on with the androids. You know, I know this stuff, but it's not making it that I have to know it to know this. It's just a very well made show where you actually have to think a little bit, and it's throwing curveballs at you left and right.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Yeah, and I don't think you need because I like comics. I'm a comic guy, but I prefer adaptations, like, well done. Like, because I'd rather watch the actors. I'd rather watch the director put the vision together. No pun intended. Put their vision together. I'd rather watch that kind of unfold on a screen than read it in the comics. So I've read comics. I've collected comics over the years. But I'm not like a through and through comic book guy. So I've got a little bit of knowledge. Like, I've read House of M, but I've never read the Vision and Scarlet Witch, miniseries run. But I don't feel like, I don't watch this and think like I have no idea what's happening. Just watch it. They're giving you everything, in the and anything else that they do, they're dropping in maybe little Easter eggs and stuff, but to the comics as a homage. But it's not like pertinent to the story necessarily.
Yeah, and the other thing that was a big epiphany for me was how good of an actress Ashley Olsen is.
Oh, she is terrific. Yeah,
I know I probably screwed up her name, but you know what I mean. Like just the stuff that she was doing with the Dick Van Dyke playing that role, and just the tempo of her the way she was speaking and the eye rolls and all the movements and her mannerisms. They were just awesome. And like my buddy Jesse, thank you, Jesse, Elizabeth Olsen. I was thinking about her sister. But yeah, just like all the stuff that she was doing every decade and every different, sitcom that she was doing. She nailed that time period. She nailed how they spoke. She nailed everything about it, and she actually made me in this show more appreciative of what she could do.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I also think it's kind of funny when you see it's not Elizabeth Olsen playing these characters from a 50s sitcom. It's Elizabeth Olsen playing Wanda Maximoff as we know her in the MCU, playing characters from a 50s sitcom. And when you add in that other layer, it's just like, oh my God. It's like when you watch it's like Jim Carrey when he did Man on the Moon. And it's like Jim Carrey doing Andy Kaufman doing Latka from Taxi. It's like he's like multi-levels deep on this it's like almost like the inception of acting. It's like, how much further down can you go? So like the whole thing is just so impressive to me, and their commitment. I think they brought on Dick Van Dyke as a consultant for the show, especially early on, to make sure that those first 2 episodes, felt like 50s and 60s sitcoms, and like just that attention to detail is fantastic.
Yeah, and I don't think that Disney and Marvel are getting enough, praise for that. Everybody, like we said, it's just like, oh, this is boring. This is boring. Watch it. See what's actually going on and, figure it out. And you're going to appreciate it even more and more. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you can't wait for the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed, though. I don't know if you know this. So right around the time Civil War came out, I had put together, me and a great group of people did a sketch called Captain America Couples Therapy, where Steve and Bucky go to couples counseling and kind of work through their issues. And then I see the full trailer, and it's Bucky and Sam at this couples counselor, and I'm just like, man, and I get it, it fits, and that's why. But I did that 5.5 years ago, and I was just kind of like, what the hell? And it made me feel really good. One of my buddies from high school posted the trailer to my wall and was like, hey. Marvel's like, can we copy your homework, but we won't do it exactly or whatever. It's just like, at least one person acknowledged that I did that first, or we, it wasn't just me, but we all did it first.
Well, that's why I brought it up, because I remember when it came out, and that had me howling. That sketch, I was laughing. I made Dennis watch it. It really cracked me up, and I was waiting to see what your take was on it, because I was like, wow, this looks very familiar.
I mean, look, the sketch got a lot of views, and we worked really hard on it. It was good, but it didn't go viral. I don't think anybody from Marvel saw it and was like, we're doing that, So it's nice to know sometimes. Well, yeah, I know. But it is nice to know sometimes that you're on the right track. Like when you make something, and then I used to do this joke in my stand-up set that was like, I don't even remember which joke it was, but it was on an episode, the same joke word for word was on season 1 of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And I was just like, okay, well, I guess I can write for this show. So, it's kind of nice in a way, but it was also a little bit of we did do this already. And, I don't think they needed to do it. I think their dynamic is already so well established that I don't think they need, I will see how it unfolds, but I don't think they need to be in counseling. What? It doesn't, I
don't know. So I just want to show you a comment from my buddy Jesse. John has the energy I wish I had.
Well, thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. I also did. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Jesse played with us on Team Media Goon.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to remember everybody. There's so many people that I just met that day, and I never interacted with again after that, which is unfortunate. Well, no, it's just because we never, I thought there'd be more softball, and there never was.
It never was.
There never was. I still have that shirt though. I still have the Team Media Goon jersey.
I have it upstairs right now too.
Yeah.
I'm up in Pennsylvania. I went away for the weekend.
Oh, nice.
So I'm doing laundry, so I have it up there. So, but I was looking at it, I'm like, should I put it on? I was like, nah, I don't feel like
I almost wore it. But I wear it. I wear it to play softball still, so it's like, it's kind of like a little beaten up at this point. Like there's like dirt stains on it and grass stains. I think there's some blood on it from a couple weeks ago. So,
Awesome. I'm glad you got the use out of it.
Yeah, it's comfortable as hell, man. It's a great shirt.
Let's see. So we talked about the Mets. We talked about the MCU. Let's give some plugs about like what you're doing with your Instagram show, any websites, your YouTube, anything with YouTube, anything you want to plug away.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So the show, I do a Jets show every week that we talked about earlier. It's called The Goddamn Jets, appropriately so. And the Instagram handle that we go live from is just at _goddamn_Jets. We also have a YouTube channel, which you can find by just searching The Goddamn Jets. And all of our episodes are live on Instagram first, and then we get them up on YouTube within probably 20 minutes or a half hour once the live is done. It's been a lot of fun. It's cool. We've got some cool guests. We also have we have a merchandise partner now, which is really cool. So we turned out the first few bits of merch, and we're working towards more of it. Actually, the mug that I've been drinking from is part of that. It's the Broadway Joe mug. We've got that. We've got one for Coach Sala that my buddy Tom has appropriately nicknamed Flex Ryan. So we've got one for him. And just this week we rolled out like an artsy take on the Can't Wait Bart Scott moment, which me as a 34-year-old Jets fan is still the best Jets game I've ever seen. So with the 10-year anniversary being just a couple months ago, we rolled out some merch there. So you can find it if you go to our Instagram. The link for all the merch is in there. And viewers of our show, which means viewers of this show, because I'm going to plug it right now, get 15% off if you use the code GODDAMN. So, and that's store wide. So they do a ton of stuff, not just for the Jets, but there's a lot of Premier League soccer stuff that's out there that's great. There's stuff for other teams. There's Beatles-inspired stuff. So there's a ton of great stuff. So if anybody wants to check it out, you should definitely.
God damn. Awesome. I just wanted to thank you for coming on. Thank you for being the first guest, basically the guinea pig. The guinea pig. We'll do it more. I always love talking to you. We don't talk enough. It's rougher on the two coasts. We barely saw each other when we were on the same coast. Right. But now on the other coast. There was so many times I tried to go see you and like doing a comedy show, and I couldn't make it. And I was like, I can't go. I can't go.
I'm hoping live comedy will come back, in some way soon, in a grander way. I know it's kind of trickling in certain parts of the country it is, but and I'm trying to come back to New York as soon as I can make sense to do that, just for a visit. So
awesome. I can't wait to see you. So everybody, at John Saponaro on Twitter, at Dave_Maggio. You don't have to check him out, but he's a really talented artist if you really want to check him out.
I would say go to my website, but I don't know if I posted on Twitter the other day. I was like, I randomly, just for like shits and giggles, I was like, I'm gonna check out my website. It's gone. It just isn't there anymore. The web address is there. The page comes up. It just says 404, and on the top, it's the weirdest thing too. It's like there's an MLB logo next to my name. I'm like, why is that there? What happened to it? Why?
There's a lot to unpack.
It is. So, I kind of just was like, well, all right, take that loss. And I just X'd it out. But in the process of rebuilding all that. So hopefully soon I'll be a real life person living in the year 2021 and have a normal website and everything going
That's
up.
Cool.
But
I have a website. I don't know if anybody's ever gone to it before, but I do have one because I guess it's important to have. So
yeah, right.
All my socials are at John Saponaro, and even my website is just johnsaponaro.com. So easy enough if you guys want to check it out.
Awesome. And of course, I'm at Media Goon, themediagoon.com, QB Convention on Twitter, at www.queensbaseballconvention.com is the website. Our YouTube channel, just put Queens Baseball Convention in. You can see all our past events. Thank you, John. Thank you, Dave.
Awesome. Yeah, man.
All right, guys, I'm gonna head us out. John, don't go anywhere. I'll talk to you in a second. You too, Dave.
Okay. Damn it, I'm in trouble.
Yep. Bye, guys.